On June 17th, 2015, Dylan Ruff walked into a midweek Bible study. He sat and prayed with the church members before pulling out his gun, killing most, and allowing one to live. After the incident, he was found and arrested peacefully. When Dylan Ruff killed 9 innocent black people, we did not question his God. He wore flags of apartheid Africa. We did not question his allegiance. He committed the crime alone. We did not question his people. When Adam Lanza shot a classroom full of first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary, we did not ask him to leave the country. When Timothy McVeigh killed 168 people in Oklahoma, we did not call this a crime against every American. When the KKK killed thousands of black people while swearing to uphold Christian morality, we did not ask them to remove their robes. We did not call all Christians bigots. Do you see it? How we don't label all white men based on the sins of a few, do you see it? How we don't have to condemn a whole class of people based on the actions of some, do you see it? How all the names are different, how all the faces are different, how all the people are different, therefore, we should not condemn all Muslims for the radicalism of a group. If you want to persecute ISIS, go ahead, but to persecute ISIS is to persecute those that gave them power. To persecute those that gave them power is to persecute the U.S. government. Do your research. Islam is not synonymous with terror. It is literally submission, it is devotion, it is peace. Terrorism is actually forbidden, and jihad does not mean holy war. It means struggle, it means survival, it means standing face to face with everything that wants to put you in the ground and choosing to be alive. Do your research and stop listening to CNN. Stop trading humanity for hypocrisy. Stop staring at Muslims in the airport. Stop letting your fear drag you into ignorance. Stop supporting billionaire Republicans who want to scare you into murdering the innocent, and start supporting leaders who speak peace in their native tongue. Instead of burning down the mosque, burn down the walls around the pulsating muscle in your chest and realize that we all have one. And lastly, as the customary greeting goes, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Wa alaikum assalam, and upon you be peace. Do you see it?
The spoken word had said, we should not group an entire religion into the same category. You have to do your research and get to know the person before you can judge them. And it is just a shame when this bias is seen in the court system. And although it claims to be the most fair system, there is still a great amount of religious discrimination in which the system needs to develop a way to reduce. This is most prevalent when it comes to Muslims, as the Muslim Legal Fund of America states that Muslims face discrimination on a daily basis and that they are more likely to be banned from flights, denied government benefits, and even prosecuted for a crime that they did not commit. When Muslims find themselves targeted by law enforcement, it is harder to find a lawyer, as a popular Islamophobic ideology makes them seem as the loser of a case before the case has even started. And when they go to trial, they are expected to face a second round of Islamophobia by the judge or jury. And the statistics do not disprove this fact, as a survey done by Pew Research shows 44% of Americans believe Islam does not belong in the Western world, and that the number of Americans that believe all Muslims are anti-American has risen from 11% to 16% between 2002 and 2016. So as you could clearly see by those charts, there is a great deal of implicit bias that can be involved in a case. This bias denies Muslims their Sixth Amendment right, the right to a trial, judgment, impartial jury. But if the jury does seem to have an implicit bias, the defendant would still not be able to appeal the case, because Dr. Marsh, who is the director of judicial studies at the University of Nevada, discusses how implicit bias is not recognized in court and therefore it cannot be used to challenge the court's decision. What this means is that even if there does seem to be an implicit bias, the defendant would not be able to make an appeal or an objection to the court. But many say that this religious discrimination is not as prevalent as it may seem. An article by Think Progress quoted Justice Kavanaugh when he said in the case of Patrick Murphy, and I quote, "As this court has repeatedly held, governmental discrimination against religion, in particular discrimination against religious persons, religious organizations, and religious speech, violates the Constitution. The government may not discriminate against religion generally or against particular religious denominations." End quote. The only problem with using this argument is that when you continue to read the same article, it discusses the trial of Dominic Ray. Dominic had made the exact same appeal, but his was denied. The only difference between the two cases was the religious background of the defendants. Murphy, who was a white Buddhist, and Dominic was a black Muslim. In the same article, the author stated, and I quote, "Ray's case cannot be viewed in isolation. It must be considered in the context of other Islamophobic decisions, most recently the Muslim ban. Together, the two cases illustrate the question the Supreme Court of the United States repeatedly seeks to answer when it comes to Muslims, that of how to restrict or deny religious freedom, rather than that of whether the religious freedom has been violated." End quote. This decision shows the bias in the court system and even how it affects the highest levels of the court system. These examples are a clear indication on the religious discrimination towards Muslims in court and help prove the fact that there needs to be a solution towards this problem, as we should take pride in being able to call our system the best system in the world, but it is a shame that it is not, and the improvements that need to be made.
Fast forward several decades and now where are we at? We got Ferguson, Charleston, Chapel Hill, Houston. Not easy being Afro-American or a Muslim. Hands up, don't shoot black men, don't group us. All in your mind what these few thugs do. And when a Muslim is violent, then they label him a terrorist. But anyone else, oh, he just needed a therapist. Stuff on the news is far from the views of billions of Muslims, so don't be confused, cause that only brings hate and the scariest fight. We need this area wiped of these stereotypes.